Hey there, hi there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter. I welcome you to yet another Cutter Degrassi Top 10. And today we're going to be looking at the top 10 worst female characters in people's minds. We talked about the worst male adult slash authority figures and the female adult slash authority figures. I think we could all agree that Mrs. Baker and Mr. Vaughn, if you will, or Valeri, um, definitely deserve to be number one. Although I was upset by the male number two and three because by poll I had to go with who it was. I could have easily put Albert Manning at number two. I would have put Albert Manning at number two. Anyway, we're gonna finish up. Well, this will be there will be one more top 10 inspired by the one YouTube video about the top 10 toxic males and all that. But that person will have their channeling shines and all that. So let's look at the top 10 female characters. Worst female characters. Of course, the rules were well, I had two polls down pat. Well, it should be three, but anyway, yeah, the two polls. And in what happened is the top two in each poll got to be in part of the 106 poll, and then the three third place people and a fourth place person from the poll of death happened. I did make a few minor changes, but it's fine. And by the way, whoever ended up sixth place in the 1 to 6 poll actually didn't get a vote, so I'm going to drop her 2 spots to number 8 and put whoever won the 7 to 10 poll at number 6, and then the runner up at number 7. And of course, you'll see the polls, but you'll see everything else. All right. Number 10 in a shocker is Emma. I figured I had to put Emma in it because of all the Emma hate in the Degrassi Reddit. I mean, there's been some Claire hate and some Maya hate, but I can't blame Claire because after all, a lot of drama happened to her, and the writers basically made Claire had to do with all the drama. And Maya, I can't really get mad at. She was buddying people's business, but the problem with Maya was that it was a trauma response to what happened to Cam. And speaking of trauma responses, I think Emma had plenty of trauma responses, and almost every year from seasons 1 to 9, she had something a new issue. I'll go as quick as I can. I don't want to overanalyze it on Emma. Season 1 was when she was catfished in the first episode, and thankfully Manny, Spike, Snake, Toby, and JT saved her from harm. And it actually did have something to do with her thinking that Armstrong was being inappropriate with Liberty and how Manny was going to be a cheerleader and all that. So that Emma felt uncomfortable. Season 2 was dealing with her mom dating her teacher. I mean, who would want that? And also the whole radish situation too. Fight for your right with the GMO foods. Nobody won. Emma definitely lost because she over she overblew her stuff, and Radish lost because he was the adult situation and he didn't act like it. Season 3, she had to deal with Sean stealing stuff from Snake to spite her after she called him pathetic, and him going with the candy bandits. And then of course her feelings for Sean, even though that she should be with Chris, and the deterioration of her friendship with Manny, even though that this time it was Manny's fault and Emma was the the one that was wronged. Season 4, having that glow up, thinking she was above her own station, thinking she would find a guy, but no one gave her a chance. And then, she didn't want to go back to Chris. And then that brutalized it because she lost Manny and Liberty as friends. And then she was part of Paige's clique, but Paige's clique dumped her off because she protected Rick. And then, of course, Rick almost kills Emma. Emma doesn't show signs of wanting to ask for help for her problems, even though everyone knew that she was not the same old Emma. So she deals with the stuff with Jay in the ravine and terribly. Then season 5 pops up when she still dates Peter despite what Peter did to Manny. I think in a sense Emma was happy that she now had Manny living with her so that she could boss Manny around, and if Manny didn't obey her, she could kick Manny out. She had control issues. Season 6, Sean comes back in the picture. Emma ends up with Sean because Peter tries to break up Emma and Sean, and pisses Emma off in the process. Um, Emma was upset when Manny moved back home after JT got stabbed steps from Emma's house and all that. She had a trauma response. I did a post about this yesterday on the Reddit thing, and I've had a few people say 100% with my synopsis. Not going to go into that. And then, of course, Sean leaves for the army. Emma was contemplating faking a pregnancy, but she couldn't do it at the end. Season 7, the whole thing with Snake being uh, accused by Darcy with stuff, even though that Darcy was doing it trying to avoid having to tell your mom she was raped. Emma dealt with that quite well, and then was with Damien because she couldn't have Sean. Seasons 8 and 9 were basically college trying to fit in and trying to keep Manny and Liberty close to her. But when they both left at season 9, Emma was grasping at straws. So you can understand why people hate Emma. Number 9 is Liz from Degrassi Junior High / High. I actually was shocked Liz actually beat Emma. I thought Emma for sure was going to get some votes. But nevertheless, Liz was a decent person, but she was kind of pathetic and all that. If I remember right, she wanted to destroy a restaurant who denied Spike a busboy position because of Spike's hair. Basically, he was being prejudiced towards Spike's hairstyle and all that. Even though that Spike said that I wrote everything down. So yeah, Liz kind of was horrible. She was the midwife who delivered baby Jack in season 3. So the new number 8 is Bianca. Bianca had to make it because she was top 2 in one of the polls. But yeah, no one voted for Bianca. In season 12, she basically brought Drew into her drama and all that with the gang with Anson and Vince and all that. And Drew was blindly there. And Drew managed to protect Bianca from trouble because he knew that Bianca would be in deep trouble with the cops. And, Bianca and Drew were engaged to be married. They decided to wait. And then when Bianca went to college, she had her friends basically told her she should be her own independent woman. So she does and basically breaks up with Drew. And I think a lot of people were upset. And I think Drew should have basically yelled at her, saying, I did all this for you. You used me. Do you think Bianca was using Drew? I think so. So unfortunately, that forced Drew to go closer to Claire and Becky, which was wrong, wrong, wrong. Fuck you, Bianca. I'm sorry, that's how I'm saying. Okay, so the new number 7 is Darcy. She was made to be religiously uptight and annoying, but then, of course, season 7 happened. So Darcy was a decent character, but she was more of a goody goody and not happy with the Spirit Squad and all thing. But by season 5, she actually was in the major picture because she was with Spinner. Spinner was trying to get his friends back after what happened with blaming Jimmy with stuff, and then Rick shot Jimmy. Of course, Spinner had no clue that Rick had a gun. I think if he knew Rick had a gun, things would have been different. But yeah, so Spinner goes to the friendship club with Darcy to try to fix the problems. Darcy tells Spinner that Jesus loves you no matter what. And Spinner and Darcy unfortunately have bad relationships with each other. Jay kind of pushes it in one time, and Peter, in his manipulative style, of course, he's not happy when Darcy doesn't give him the right of day. And it upsets me that Darcy wants to still be with Peter, even though Peter almost put Darcy in the hands of Adam's that child molester or whatever you want to call it, that stalker. But I think Peter was upset that Darcy wasn't taking his advances. I wish that Peter was caught for his problems and Hatzalekos punished him properly. Because then, Peter wouldn't be such a dickwad. So anyway, yeah, Darcy was there. But Darcy in season 7, still with Peter, her parents don't approve because of what Peter did, even though Hatzalekos approves of it. But Peter says that Darcy's making him better. Well, anyway, Darcy goes on a ski trip with Manny and Peter and then gets roofied, and she doesn't know who her rapist is, and it wasn't Peter, thankfully. So she gets thrown out of the friendship club, even though that she was raped, and it was not her fault. Although Peter gave her a purity ring too. But the fact of the matter is that Darcy almost took almost slashed herself in the girls' bathroom. Of course, I'm going to say stuff that you don't want to hear, but how do I keep it clean? Anyway, Darcy almost does something in the girls' washroom. She accuses Snake because Snake wanted her to tell about the rape and all that. But Darcy refuses to because she's worried about what her parents think, even though that it was not her fault. So anyway, she gets Snake into a whole lot of trouble, and basically Emma was ready to throw her down with Darcy. Darcy wanted to jump off the roof, but Manny saves her in that blonde face. Bleh, blonde Manny, my ass. Anyway, so Darcy does go to spirit camp and realizes her mistake and becomes better. And then in season 8, she goes to Kenya. I think it was her parents that got her to Kenya, not herself. There had to be something to do with her parents to make her atone for her mistakes. Okay, so the new number 6. So new number 6 is Holly J. I hate Holly J, of course. Nothing else more like it. But yeah, Holly J is definitely number 6. So Holly J was a decent person. We find out that she was Heather Sinclair, the famous unseen character's sister, and all that. And people think that Holly J was the worst of the two, even though that Heather was trying to be a queen bee, and a queen bee face off of Paige. And in that one little Degrassi mini had Paige being Heather Sinclair. Nope, it's not true. So yeah, so Holly was just a bit of a bitch and all that, using her influence and all that, basically pushing Anya to try to fix things. Holly J gets Anya pissed off. They have a kind of a close friendship, a little too close. Holly J wants to keep Anya close to her. She had a chance to be with Toby in season 7, but she said that she had to be Holly J for her friends. What friends? Exactly. Anyway, yeah, Holly J was being a bitch, as she always seems to be. Toby didn't care about it. But anyway, yeah, Holly J just had troubles and all that. She was just trying to keep friends. She's trying to get in a relationship with Declan and Blue, which Blue, yuck. But yeah, Holly J was trying to do all that. Holly J, and contrary to what people think, a couple days ago there was a post about Anya and her kind of sexual assault on Sav during the prom and all that. And then they mentioned her faking a pregnancy on Sav for the student council. It wasn't because of her obsessiveness towards Sav and the fact that Sav didn't want to tell his parents he liked Anya. It was the fact that Holly J pushed Anya to try to ruin Sav's chances to be student council president. That was Holly J's thing. However, Anya turned it around on Holly J and made Sav win, and Holly J was pissed off, of course. But Holly J still wanted to be with Sav and all that. And, Sav's parents were okay with Holly J, but not Anya, even though Anya wanted to bend over backwards. Holly J would get some kind of comeuppance with the I Hate Holly J page, and also, almost being shot at the dot, and also the whole kidney thing, which of course could not be true, is that, a strep throat does not cause you to have kidney failure. But yeah, Holly J just pissed a lot of people off. She did clean up her act a little bit, but it wasn't too much. I know there's a tie for 4th. So here's how I'm breaking. Okay, number 5 is Marisol. This was, of course, in the era I didn't really watch Degrassi, but I think Marisol it just didn't make sense. She was there, she was causing trouble, and the biggest problem with Marisol was that she actually stole Casey from Jenna. Jenna had her pregnancy thing, and Casey was lamenting his problems, and Marisol thought that Casey wanted to leave Jenna and go with someone. So Marisol steals Casey, and then Casey tries to justify it by telling Jenna, "You told me to play basketball." Massive prick move, Casey. Of course, Casey stays with Jenna only for the baby's sake. I mean, it's honorable and all that. I don't call it stupid. But anyway, yeah, Marisol was such a prick and all that, and nobody liked her. Number 4 is Alex. Got away with the Rick situation, plain as day can see. So Alex was this tough chick in the Candy Bandits, the gang with Jay and Towers and Sean and a few other people. But the fact of the matter is that, Alex could throw down, but Alex could not beat up on poor Emma. Emma was supposed to be the one that, was going to be taken down by Alex. But Alex got on Emma's nerves because Emma saw Snake's will and all that and freaked. But then she throws down with Alex and beats her up. Of course, Snake tells Emma what's gotten into you, and she says, "I read your will, and all that." And Snake says, "Well, that's just a plan, just in case something happens. But don't worry, everything will be fine." But yeah, season 4 was when Alex was kind of at her worst in a sense. Season 4, she was in the campaign to hurt Rick. And she had enough. She had reason to. I mean, Alex realized the story to Emma about how her mother gets hurt by ex boyfriends and they had to live in women's shelters and all that. And Alex has to help her mother cry herself to sleep. Like, that's understandable. Like, okay, that's fine. But bullying Rick isn't going to solve the problem. Rick is a douchebag. But the fact also with Alex is that if she had relayed that story better, I think we'd have less sympathy for her. But then, unfortunately, she's one of the last three bullies on Rick. With Spitter and Jay. Paige backs off, Jimmy backs off, Emma backs off. Alex does all that. So Alex tells Spitter and Jay about Rick spray painting their cars and all that. I don't know if she had proof or not. I think she just wanted to get rid of Alex. I would get rid of Rick. But of course, they can't tell Raditch because Raditch would probably want to know why Rick would do such a thing. I don't know though. I don't know if Raditch would know that because he was far gone. But the fact is that Alex did the paint and feathers and all that, and you know, and she got lucky because of the shooting and all that. Because they went from trying to find out who painted and feathered Rick to what would make him shoot somebody. I mean Jimmy. So Alex has to figure lucky stars the shooting happened and all that. I mean, Alex did kind of want to alleviate her guilt to someone, but Jay basically told her to just not, don't tell the wrong person. So worst of all, Alex basically keeps it in and all that. She ends up getting gonorrhea and all that thanks to Amy and thanks to Jay. So Alex goes bonkers and all that. And everyone was just shocked that Alex never got implicated for the whole paint and feathers thing. Well, Spitter tells on himself and Jay. Well, Spitter had reason to because Jay was being a dickwad to him. And I think Spitter didn't want to tell on Alex because he said that the problem was in the bathroom. And of course, Alex wouldn't be in the bathroom because that's the boys' bathroom. And Jay had a hard on for Alex. So Alex in season 5 didn't make too many appearances. But season 6, she comes back. Yeah, she comes back to add her grades to do better in school so that she could be a massage therapist and do all that. But Alex gets in a relationship with Paige and all that. Like Kevin Smith called it cute, but I guess Alex didn't have trust in men, and neither did Paige. So that was something they had to fix on. But yeah, Alex got away with the Rick situation, and the whole thing with her mother and the stripping and all that. Can't blame Alex for that. Alex just went downhill, and she just basically just couldn't change her stripes. Okay, I have another tie to break. Number 3 is Ashley. I'm going to go with Ashley at number 3. I know she was tied for second place, but I'm going to go with Ashley as the lesser of the lower. Did a lot of things that ruffled the fans' feathers. Honestly, I thought that Emma would have scored more points than Ashley. I mean, lots of people talk about how bad Emma is in the Reddit community, and Ashley's okay, but Ashley out of like I thought Ashley was African American in like the first few seasons, but you know how TVs are and all that. They're not like HD and all that. But yeah, it would have been nice. Ashley comes from a broken home because her father left her mother because he had gay feelings for someone. Ashley took ecstasy in season 1 and basically caused a lot of trouble. She was trying to fix the problem in season 2, but Paige pushed Ashley out of the way and forced Terry and Hazel to decide between Ashley and herself because, and they chose popularity over friendship. Pathetic. Well, Paige is a prick. So anyway, Ashley kind of gets the last laugh on Paige, thinking that Paige has got troubles and all that. But Ashley soon tries to help Paige out because that's what good people do. Even though Ashley went goth and became an awkward person, she was just trying to fit through a phase. Season 3, she was in that love triangle with Manny and Craig, and Ashley was right to write that song about Craig, but Craig did a sappy song, and Ashley basically fell for it. Ashley did not have to fall for it. Ashley had every right to beat the shit out of Craig. So anyway, yeah, all that. Season 4, on again, off again with a few things, including Craig and all that. She does try to help Craig understand his bipolar thing, and then she decides to go to London to be with her father. Craig follows her to London and all that, causes a lot of trouble. And then Craig lives in the boiler room. Ashley comes back at the end of season 5 and towards season 6. She's trying to fit in, but unfortunately, her big problem was that she had a demo thing with Jimmy and didn't want Jimmy taking all the credit, so she wiped him out. Stupid move. My number 2 is Esme. It has to be Esme. Manipulative to the bitter end from Next Class. Esme was a decent person, but she had her hair braided a certain way, played by Chelsea Clark. You wouldn't think Chelsea Clark would be a Korean name, but I think she had a Korean parent. Nevertheless, Chelsea Clark played her perfectly. Esme was manipulative. She got Miles in trouble. She got a few other guys in trouble, and basically was upset when people wanted to break off from her. Her biggest manipulation thing was season 4 of Next Class, when she ends up being with Sig and also Frankie in a polyamorous relationship. So basically, she just wanted to make sure that she kept Sig and all that, and Frankie as a third person. So she felt great and all that. Of course, she hated the fact that Sig was getting closer and closer to Maya. Maya was trying not to be with Sig in season 4, but they bumped into each other and accidentally go to prom with each other. Esme has a fit to be tied. She also has a fit because she's upset that Sig is towards Maya, and also she's upset that Maya is getting a lot more attention than her. Fight me on it. But I think Esme, because she saved Maya at the end of season 3, was hoping that people would give her a lot of notice, but they basically gravitated towards Maya, and then Esme was pissed off. I don't blame her one bit. Esme gets mad. She's the one who called in the bomb threat during that medieval prom and all that. It wasn't Syed, even though everyone thought it was him. So anyway, yeah, Esme bought a motorcycle to try to keep Sig. Sig says you should get help and all that, and Esme says I did everything to keep us together. It didn't hurt Sig with the bicycle helmet, but fortunately Miss Growl tells her to get some help and all that. And I thought Esme was the one at the end of season 4 in that hospital thing, but it wasn't. It was Grace in her new lungs. I would have loved to see what Esme's diagnosis would have been. And who won number 1? Well, I think you knew who would win number 1 if you were part of the poll. That was Zoe. It had to be Zoe Rivas. I mean, there are a few times that Zoe is the good girl in this situation, but she turned out to be a bad girl, and everyone just wanted to turn her good girl in Next Class. So Zoe came in season 13, went to Paris with the Degrassi people because of the fact that she was kicked off of a reality show and had to cozy in and all that. She zeroes in on Maya, and it seemed like there was going to be a good relationship, but Zoe was basically using Maya, made Maya do a sexy music video, and basically had a gotcha moment with her. Makes Maya the butt end of jokes. Maya retaliates by a song, but like it was appropriate in a sense. Like Maya was upset that Zoe did this and wanted to get retaliation, but you can't say certain words about Zoe. You can't say certain words because people don't like it. Of course, Maya was upset that Principal Simpson refused to do much about the situation. I mean, I get it. I get it. I really do. So he basically hoodwinked Maya by a fake apology, got Maya's mom to buy in on everything. Zoe's mom basically was trying everything in her power to make sure Zoe didn't get in trouble because she was scared that Zoe would be expelled and there'd be troubles. Zoe's mom is a character in her own self, basically pushing her daughter to like acting and all that, living through her financially and all that. And when Zoe stopped getting roles, she had to either work or find a sugar daddy. You can guess which one Zoe's mom was about. But yeah, Zoe was just a prick towards Maya in the first half of season 13. By the second half of season no 13, she had to change because she was actually groped by Luke Baker and his friend Neil. Of course, Becky tells on Luke because Luke told Becky the truth and all that. Mrs. Baker, I think, didn't want to hear it. But yeah, so Zoe was made to be the victim, and we all liked Zoe. And then all of a sudden, season 14, she gets mad that Becky won't allow her in the Spirit Squad because she's a distraction. Becky should have let her on the team. I think Zoe would have taken a smaller role, but I think Becky overstepped her boundaries. But then she gets injured, so he takes over as Power Squad captain and then puts the Oomph chat together to get Degrassi some new uniforms. What's wrong with the ones they had? But yeah, it was kind of awkward and all the Degrassi nudes and all that. She basically pressured people to stay in, or else they would be in deep trouble with the law and all that. So he thinks she can get away with it, but Winston, alongside Frankie, get her to have to go to the police, and she admits her crimes and all that. She gets off with supposedly, community service to show the judge that she isn't that bad. And a lot of people, myself included, would say that Zoe was trying to gain her body back and her power back after being deflowered by Luke and Neil. But, you made yourself into a gigantic villain and people hate you on it. Zoe would probably cry crocodile tears. The lawyer would probably tell her that Zoe doesn't deserve it. And then poof, my next class, there's no mention of a trial, no mention of any crimes and all that. They made Zoe the good girl and all that. I know Zoe's mom is a prick, but Zoe does show she's a prick and deserves to get hate on it. Fight me on it. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Diamond. I do